Hi guys, what's up? It's Madison. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we have a special guest, Seth. Seth, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, looks like we're losing him. Okay, that was short-lived. And so for those of you who do not know, Seth is my little brother. Today, I'm going to be doing a video all about what my life has been like living with Seth. For those of you who do not know, Seth is autistic, and so I will be doing a video all about our dynamic and how our relationship is. And so with that being said, let's just get right on into it. So before I get started, I just want to let you guys know that I am very, very nervous to film this video. I don't think I've ever been so nervous to film a video, like not even my first video I wasn't this nervous. And I think it's just because I really want to get it right. I don't want to overshare, but I also want to share enough to where you guys get the picture, but I also don't want it to seem like a negative thing, because this video is supposed to be a positive thing. It's supposed to be enlightening you guys on kind of like what my life looks like and what it's been like. But also I don't want to discredit the hardships, but it's also something I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. I love Seth. Seth is one of my best friends, and he's a big part of my life, and I want to share that with you guys. So Seth is currently 17 years old. That means we are 2 years apart. He's 17, I'm 19. And Seth is pretty severely autistic. And what I mean by severely is he doesn't really talk, and he's very limited within his human interaction. Seth can talk, like he can speak. As you saw earlier, like he can speak when prompted to speak, and he can speak in phrases, but he doesn't really speak in sentences. He doesn't really express full thoughts or opinions or anything like that. He doesn't really communicate. He's pretty limited in his diet. So with that little introduction to Seth, let's just kind of get right on into everything else. So Seth was actually not born autistic. Seth developed his autism around the age of 2, so that means I was 4. I don't remember much of life before the autism. I have a few memories, but they're not that significant because I mean he was a baby and I was a baby. So really my whole life memory of Seth is Seth with autism. At that time, Seth and we interacted like normal brother and sister. We would fight, we would play together, all the regular things that siblings do. However, once I turned about 8 or 9, that is when things really started to change for me. I started to notice this difference because around that age is when you kind of start to conceptualize life and the way life looks for you and the way life looks for other people, and you really start to notice and compare what you go through versus what everybody else goes through. Obviously, as you get older, you begin to develop into your own person. You just grow up. And that's when I really started to notice the difference, because I would see all my friends and I would watch them and I would watch how they interacted with their siblings, and I really started to realize that I didn't have that. My friends went to summer camp with their siblings and ganged up against their parents with their siblings and like played video games with their siblings and have conversations with their sibling, and just different things that Seth and I couldn't do. And it really started to hit me because I started to realize how much all of those things that they could do with their siblings, how much that bonded them with their siblings. And I just felt kind of this distance with Seth. And I struggled a lot, you know, in the beginning, because I just always felt if Seth weren't autistic, then we would be closer, and I felt like I just wanted that companionship. So in the beginning, it was really, really lonely. Dealing with Seth's autism for me was really lonely because my parents, they had each other. But I felt like I was just kind of like coping alone because there was nobody my age that I knew of that was really dealing with the same thing. And so I felt like no one could really relate to me on my level. And so the beginning of it was really hard, but eventually I got used to things, and eventually it just became my daily way of life. And with that kind of familiarity and normalization of it came the responsibility. Ever since I can remember, since around like 9 or 10, I've had a lot of responsibility when it comes to Seth regarding his care. I've never really just been Seth's sister. I've always been a third parent. I've always been his teacher, really his only friend. And while I love being that for him, and I love being that person that can kind of be everything for him, because I'm really the only person in his life that can be that way. You know, my parents, they're his parents. His teachers are his teachers. But me, I kind of have the privilege of being able to guide him while also being able to be his companion and his friend and someone that doesn't have to have authority over him. It was hard, and it still is at times. A lot of my responsibility around Seth, I had to sacrifice a lot. There would be days where I would want to go do something, but I couldn't, or I had to move it around because I had a responsibility to Seth. I had to take him somewhere, I had to watch him, I had to do whatever, and I'm not complaining about any of that because that's just how it is. That's just the way God wanted our lives to look. But I think all of that really shaped me into who I am now. All my friends in my friend group, they call me like the mom and call me like overprotective and all of that, and I think all of that really stems from my relationship with Seth. Along with all of that, I think one of the biggest challenges I've faced growing up with Seth is how it has affected me and the way I process my own emotions and how I deal with a lot of different things. I was always the backbone of our family. I was always the one that was like the backup plan, and I was always good because I had to be good because Seth wasn't good. I always had to make sure that Seth was okay and everything involving him was okay. And so as things in my life started to happen to me, I really did not know how to handle that, and I felt a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of guilt for asking for help when I needed it, and I still feel that way a lot. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the fact that I was always okay. As a child, I was always okay because Seth wasn't okay, and I was always the child that me and my mother actually had this conversation a few weeks ago, and I'm really glad that we did because I don't think I would have been able to honestly make this video if we didn't, because I don't want anything to come as a surprise to my parents or it to seem like I'm discrediting their hard work in any way, because my parents are amazing. The life that they have provided for both me and Seth is unmatched, and I can't imagine being them. I can't imagine being two full-time physicians and having an autistic child and having to deal with me because I'm a handful in itself. But they are amazing parents, and so I never want this video to seem like they did anything wrong or anything like that. This is purely just my experience and how it affected me personally, separate from how it all worked with them in the picture. Like I was saying, me and my mother had this conversation a few weeks ago, and the conversation was directed more towards her and I's relationship, but I mean, Seth did come up because Seth does have a lot to do with our relationship. I was always okay. I was always good. I was always put together because Seth wasn't, and they never had to worry about me because I never had an issue. I never had a problem, and that was just kind of how it was. And so, long story short, the dynamic in which we grew up really put this idea into my head that like I was never allowed to not be okay. I really had to work on, and I'm still working on, learning how to separate Seth and what I need, because they're not one and the same. Me and Seth are not tied at the hip. We are not connected by a cord. I can have my own emotions and still understand and provide what I need to provide for him because of his condition. Another thing is that going to college was really hard for me. Like I said, I've always been the backbone and the backup plan for my family, and my parents depend on me a lot, especially as I've gotten older. It really made going to college really difficult for me because I felt like I was abandoning them. I felt like I was just leaving them, and I really for a long time struggled with that. And I felt so much guilt because I just felt like here I was getting to go and do all these things and become my own person, and Seth never could. Seth never could have that. I felt so guilty and so frustrated because I just felt like I couldn't fix that, and I can't do anything about that. And it's really hard for me because I'm a fixer. Like, I love to help people and I love fixing people. That's part of why I started this channel. It's very advice-based and all of those things. And Seth is like the one thing and the one person that I can't help and I can't fix. And that's really hard on me because tying this all together, I just feel like he's my responsibility. I just feel like I'm his person. I just really felt like I was leaving him. I had really just had to come to terms with the fact that it's supposed to be this way and that everything was going to be okay. So now that all of that's out there and how it affected me and how it still affects me, I want to talk about our relationship. I feel like a broken record. Seth is one of my best friends. He is so funny. He has so much energy and he is the life of every party. My friends love him. All the people in my life love him, and he's so wonderful and he's so great and he's so special and he's just such a happy person. Our relationship has gone through a lot of different stages. Like I said in the beginning, like early childhood, we were really close. But then once I started to like pick up on everything, we did become pretty distant. Up until, I would say, like right before I left for college, Seth and I weren't that close anymore. While I felt all the things that I mentioned before towards him, Seth and I, our friendship and our relationship, like our brother-sister relationship, was hazy, and we just weren't as close as we used to be. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I felt like I had so much responsibility towards him that I forgot that part of my responsibility was being that friend and being that companion. And I'm not saying that we like didn't get along, but because we did. It was just, we just kind of coexisted. We just kind of coexisted in our house, and I did what I was supposed to do for him, and that was that. And going to college really made me realize how big of a part of my life he is. And I realized how much I missed him. Coming back from college and really being in quarantine. Ever since all of this craziness has started with the virus and all of that, Seth and I have been closer than we ever have been. We have our own special way of communication, and we communicate more, we hang out more, we interact more, and I'm so grateful for that. Seth and I do have a really good relationship. Our relationship is really a beautiful thing. It's just our own little special dynamic. So with that being said, you guys, I think that's going to be the end of this video. Let me know if you want a part 2. There's so many other things I could tell you about growing up with Seth and how my life looks, and there's so much more I can talk about regarding the autism itself and what we face regarding that specifically. So just let me know if you want a part 2, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to this channel. And just thank you for watching. This video was really hard for me to film, and it took me forever, and hopefully I expressed myself correctly. And you just know that if I said anything to offend anyone or said anything that made it seem as if I was ungrateful, just know that was not my intention, because I love Seth, and I've said this over and over and over, but he's one of the most important people in my life, and I wouldn't change our dynamic for anything. And I want to thank my parents for being so supportive and kind of helping me through this journey, and just being the best parents that you could be for both me and Seth. It's very different, and it's something that not a lot of people I know go through. And so if you're my friends, or if you're in my life in any way, thank you. Thank you for accepting me. Thank you for accepting Seth, and thank you for loving him, because I know there are so many people that are going to watch this that do love him, and I love you. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.